So let's raise the big questions. Is free speech way too restricted in this country? Are authorities being allowed to get away too easily with abuse of power when they arrest people? Should judges be doing much more to protect free speech? Is anti-government opinion now equated with anti-national views? Let's get straight to our talking point. Joining me now on our talking point, three special guests joined by Dushyant Dave, Senior Supreme Court Advocate, by Professor Surajit Majumdar, President of the Jawaharlal Nehru University Teachers Association, and by Rashmi Samant. She is an author activist based in Udupi. I appreciate all three of you joining us. Dushyant Dave, straight to you first. How do you see the SC observations in this Ali Khan case? Because while granting him interim bail, they put severe restrictions on his right to free speech, virtually a gag order, and also passed several observations virtually suggesting why make a political comment during national crisis? You claim freedom of expression. What about duty to nation? Use terminology which is simple, respectful, not hurtful to others. Why make a social media statement at all? Why gain cheap popularity on this occasion? This is what is called dog whistling. When I look at these observations, it seems Justice Suryakant and Koteshwar Singh want a restricted right to free speech. Your comment?
I agree with you completely. I don't think judges have done service to the institution of Supreme Court by first passing an order yesterday not to arrest the minister from Madhya Pradesh and then to pass this order in respect of the Professor Ali. I think these two orders are surprising, unfortunate, and personally to me extremely sad, because I respect and admire both Justice Suryakant and Justice Koteshwar Singh. And therefore, coming from them, these kind of diverse orders are completely unacceptable to my mind as a lawyer. Really is, I think, quite shocking to my conscience. And I really cannot fathom any reason why judges have done what they have done, including making these observations. See,
but Mr. Dave, in the case of the minister, Madhya Pradesh Minister, Mr. Shah, the judges said it's a national shame and ordered an SIT. In the case of Ali Khan, they're also ordering an SIT and saying you have a limited right to free expression, you can't use social media. It almost seems as if, of course, in one case you will arrest an individual, in the other an apology is enough, but both the cases, the judges seem to believe that there is no unrestricted right to free expression, and comparing Ali Khan to Mr. Shah in the first instance seems a bit bizarre to me. One was communally loaded and one is someone who's expressing his opinion without making any sexist remarks.
See, fundamental rights are natural rights. They are basic human rights that citizens have. But 19(1) is very beautifully worded. 19 begins by saying all citizens shall have right. Then subclause A says to freedom of speech and expression. So the right is to freedom of speech and expression, underlying the words freedom. Now that freedom, according to me, means right to express one's convictions, one's opinions, and freely. And nobody really can take away that right except what falls under subarticle 2 of Article 19. There are only 8 restrictions there. And those restrictions are sovereignty, integrity, public decency, morality, friendly relations of the country, contempt of court, those 8 restrictions. What judges have said today is very unfortunate, because merely because there is, some kind of an atmosphere of war. There was no actual war. There were skirmishes. But at a time like this, if Professor Ali thought it fit, while complimenting 2 of our most brilliant officers who were involved in press briefings on behalf of the nation, statement by Prime Minister to introduce Colonel Qureshi and Wing Commander Singh was an outstanding statement. It gave a great message to the world about professionalism of the army, about the role of the women in the army, about secularism in the country. Now that message was destroyed by the minister from MP, and that message was echoed very positively by Professor Ali. But he expressed his anguish that the situation in the country prevailing today requires equality, because you can't just have semantics and optics, but you must really on the ground have protection for the Muslims. He talked about equality. There's
So
nothing
you're
wrong
saying
about
you cannot draw an analogy between the statements made by the minister and that made by the professor. But Rashmi Samant, why do you believe that it is right to send out a message to the professor? Why do you and others from the right wing believe in a way that Professor Khan had crossed a line, or do you believe he crossed a line?
Well, Rajdeep, firstly, I see that you drew a quite distinction between the BJP leader and Professor Ali Khan by saying that the BJP leader was communally loaded. In that case, I think we should be asking questions like, can those who benefit from judicial leniency that arguably compromised national security interests, by which I mean the Enemy Property Act, rightfully critique military operations designed to protect those very interests? So if you go after backgrounds and try to, create distinctions between two people who are being wrapped for something connected to
No,
operations,
are you
then
telling
we'll
me
have
that
to
because
get into-
Ali Khan Mahmudabad's father fought the Enemy Property Act, his grandfather was part of a pre-partition Muslim League, he must bear the cross? That you will question his patriotism because his name is Khan?
Well, that's not the reason, Rajdeep. I mean, as long as he continues to disown what his grandfather did, but I don't see any statements, or I've never seen anything that he's done through his very active political life and activism that in any way indicates that he condones the partition. So I think
How is that a crime? How is that a crime in any way? He may have his political views. One person was expressing, you can disagree with the views of Ali Khan Mahmudabad, but how does it come as a crime? Where is he outraging the modesty of a woman, as the Haryana State Women's Commission said? Where is he showing that, where is he compromising national integrity? I want to understand. It almost seems as if because his name is Khan and because his grandfather was in the pre-partition Muslim League, he must bear the cross for it?
Sorry, I don't think because he's Khan, he's being, unfairly targeted in this country. In fact, the Supreme Court did rule in his favor, and he was able to recover a large chunk of that fortune when they fought a couple of litigations. So you can't just say that it's because he's Khan, he's being targeted. The SIT probe is being rightfully put across both the BJP leader and Ali Khan. So, there's no question of whether the second name is Khan.
No, what according to you, you tell me what according to you is a violation of the law. What is it that Ali Khan said which according to you violates the law of the land? Give me a straight answer to that.
Rajdeep, it is what Ali Khan did. He was summoned by the Women's Commission and he refused to turn up, not once but twice. And the State Women's Commission has equivalent rights of that of a civil court. Why is he not turning up? Is he still? Does he?
How is that a crime? Please tell me, how is that a crime under the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita not to turn up before the Haryana State Women's Commission? How does that become a crime that justifies immediate arrest?
If you refuse to turn up, then the Women's Commission chairperson will come and inspect the premises. She did that. She went to Ashoka University, but when she failed to get any response whatsoever from
Rashmi,
him.
What are you going to inspect? The professor's Facebook post is out there. I am asking you, please tell me what according to you is a crime in that post. Where has he abused the modesty of women? Where has he gone against national unity and sovereignty?
Rajdeep,
he is making a point that the hypocrisy of the same right wing that celebrates Colonel Sophia Qureshi will endorse mob lynching or doesn't speak up when there's mob lynching.
You do not want to consider. There's a secondary FIR made by a sarpanch, an elected sarpanch in Sonipat, and he does not just allude to social media posts. He says that Professor Ali Khan in person spoke to him and 4 other people, one of whom is named in the FIR, the secondary FIR, on which the police also took action. And I think
it's village sarpanch who's a BJP Yuva Morcha leader. Madam, a BJP sarpanch makes a complaint and the police has nothing better to do than immediately arrest someone. Should there have been a due process, no investigation by the police before you arrest someone?
Representatives of this country. He's an elected representative. He's a sarpanch. So you cannot, start.
Where is the due process followed? Where is the due process followed, ma'am? A sarpanch makes a complaint, thousands of complaints are made. Arrests don't take place instantly in this country. In this case, they took place within 24 hours of the complaint.
Sorry, but the complaint happened a week ago and he refused to turn up at the summons of the Haryana State Women's Commission, and the State Women's Commission has equivalent rights to that of a civil court as per the Indian Constitution. So she has the rights to escalate the matter if a man who she thinks has crossed a certain line of decency and has made offensive comments refuses to turn up and explain himself to the commission. He could have just
before I go to Rashmi, can you show me the line where he has crossed the limits of decency? Please show me the line. I have the Facebook post.
I do not have access to what speech he made to the Sarpanch in Sonipat. I think that's for the SIT to find out. That's for the SIT to establish what he...
No. The Haryana State Women's Commission said that he had abused the modesty of the women. Please show me a line where he has done so.
Well, there's a secondary FIR where it said that he said some things in person, and I have no access whatsoever.
Ma'am, I'm asking, so you agree that there is nothing in the Facebook post that offends the modesty of women, yes or no?
In the Facebook post that he made, he said that the press conference being made by the women colonels were actually just optics, and it was some sort of an illusion. And I think that's very disrespectful.
That's his view. That's his view. How is that derogatory?
It's my view that it's derogatory towards women, especially in professions such as the army, such as the armed forces, and that all he had to do was turn up at the summons and explain himself. The escalation has happened because he refuses to participate. He refuses to participate in process.
Let me take that to Professor Majumdar. Professor Majumdar, you and other academics have come out strongly in his support, even as Ashoka University has remained silent, surprisingly or not surprisingly so. Your view, as Rashmi says, the Ali Khan could have appeared before the Women's Commission or the Haryana Police and sorted out the matter. His not appearing before the summons was reason, therefore, for them to act.
Well, the point that is to be understood here is that he is not being prosecuted for the simple reason that he did not appear before the Haryana Commission for Women. That's not the offense for which he is being really prosecuted. The point to understand is that I would say that I do not know what the Supreme Court justices today will say finally in what is called a reasoned order. And we'll have to wait for that reasoned order to respond in a comprehensive fashion. But if the observation was made that there is no prima facie basis, to stay the investigation, I would say that I would most humbly disagree. Given the statements that he has made are in public, if a reading of those statements leads to any conclusion that someone can be criminally prosecuted, then I'm afraid that...
They're accusing him, Professor, they're accusing him of dog whistling. They're saying he is guilty of dog whistling. By raising, in a way, minority victimhood, he is dog whistling. That's the charge made. These are politically loaded comments, but it's dog whistling is what the charge is.
No, politically loaded comments are not impermissible under the law. Politically loaded comments.
The judges go even further and say this is dog whistling.
So many people may. I would say that if they have referred to the duty, there is in the fundamental duties of the spirit of inquiry and reform is to be embraced. And this applies to academics more than to anyone else in this country. How are they to embrace that duty?
You're saying he was exercising his academic freedom. Am I correct? You're saying he was exercising his right to academic freedom. That is the danger, Dushyant Dave, isn't it? Because if judges now start interpreting statements according to their political judgment, whether you can say something during times of national security, what can you say? Is it politically surcharged? We are entering very dangerous terrain. It will lead to severe restriction of the right to free speech, Mr. Dave.
I agree with you completely. You know, the problem, Rajdeep, these days is that it is sad and unfortunate that the judges have started making completely irresponsible observations. It never used to happen in good old days. I mean, in the 50s, 60s, 70s and 80s, judges would not have, made these kind of observations which are being made today. I mean, these observations that the court made today were wholly unwarranted and unjustified, if I may say so, with utmost respect to Justice Suryakant and Justice Singh, whom I respect very highly.
Why do you think they made them then?
It shocks me, and I have seen that this is becoming now a habit in many judges to make irresponsible observations during court hearings, and that's not good for the institution. Judges should only speak through their judgments and their orders. They should not speak through their observations. And now what is happening is that the judges also like the media covering them, ball by ball, and therefore they make these observations many a times, which is unfortunate. That discipline of the judiciary is gone. But what is more important, Rajdeep, is this, that across the country today, the judiciary is unable to decipher between a right case and a wrong case. And it is the duty of the judiciary that when FIRs are filed and police brings the alleged accused before them, first to see whether there is any case made out or not. If case is not made out, you can't give remand. You cannot order judicial custody or give it to the police. So unfortunately, the judges are just not willing to see. And I am shocked that the magistrate who is supposed to know the constitution doesn't know Article 19(1)(a). There must be at least 1,000 judgments of the Supreme Court on Article 19(1)(a), which guarantee, in fact, Supreme Court itself has said brilliantly in one judgment, I forget that judgment, I think it was LIC versus Manubai in 1992 or 93, where Supreme Court said that this right is very jealously guarded by the Supreme Court. Now, these judges today have forgotten that, a statement made by the Supreme Court and law laid down by the Supreme Court. I mean, far from guarding it jealously, the judges are making all these comments and saying that we are giving you bail, but your passport will be impounded, investigation will go on. This FIR, as a lawyer, I can tell you, has no legs to stand.
We've seen though FIRs filed by police administrations across states, irrespective of parties. We've had the likes of Ketki Chitre, who was arrested because of a social media post on Sharad Pawar. We've seen YouTubers being arrested, cartoonists arrested in Bengal. So this seems to have become a national epidemic. But Rashmi Sawant, you were claiming that Ali Khan was arrested, or one of the reasons, because he didn't appear before the summons sent to him. May I ask you your views on Mr. Shah, Mr. Vijay Shah, the BJP minister, who made the most commonly loaded sexist remarks? Do you believe such a person should be in office? No action is taken against him. Then the entire right-wing ecosystem protects him.
No one's protecting him, Rajdeep. In fact, there's an SIT probe on him as well, and the Supreme
What is the SIT going to find out? It is transparent. I mean, it almost seems as if the police are unemployed. You need an SIT. His statements are in the public domain.
Do you feel that there should
he not have been sacked? Rashmi, should he not have been sacked on day one?
Due process. Do you think there should be
Should he have been sacked or not?
Should be sacked just based on the kangaroo court of, public opinion and news debates? No, there should be due process, even if he needs to be...
So no due process for Ali Khan, who goes to jail, who spends 2 days in police custody, 1 day in judicial custody, while all that Mr. Shah needed was an apology?
His apology wasn't accepted, and there is an SIT probe on him.
That apology was not accepted after a suo motu FIR was filed by the Madhya Pradesh High Court, madam.
Summons was sent to him. The other man follows the rule of law, but despite that, his apology wasn't accepted, as it shouldn't be accepted, because the statements that he made were extremely insensitive, and we all criticize it, and we all believe that he deserves what's coming his way. But the SIT probe must establish that, because we cannot let this country become a kangaroo court of, public opinion deciding.
No, I agree that we cannot let I agree with you there. We cannot let the country become a kangaroo court, but we also cannot allow the police to function in an arbitrary manner, where in one case they will go and summarily arrest someone, in the other case, because the person is a minister, he will not be touched.
The police is compelled to escalate in case a common citizen refuses to follow the rule of law. Even in civil courts, when someone's summoned and they refuse to, turn up, then there is escalatory action. There will be escalation if people refuse to follow the rule of law. Professor Ali Khan refused to turn up when summons were sent to him not once but twice. Despite that, the chairperson of the State Women's Commission went to Ashoka University on an inspection to speak to him, but he wasn't present there.
So you don't agree that the basic difference between Ali Khan and Shah is one person's surname is Shah and the other person's surname is Khan? You don't agree with that, right?
This is the issue that you're making. I have equivalent problem with both of them. I think both of them are misogynistic, and they made insensitive comments that they shouldn't have been making. And people in positions of power and influence should be very careful of what they say, because this is a mature
Okay.
democracy, so they need to be careful about what they say.
Almost
And
Should an
Professor Ali
academic
Khan,
be
for that
careful?
matter.
Surajit Majumdar, should an academic be careful of what he or she says?
Almost everything that Ms. Sawant has said,
Every citizen has a right.
interpreted as having double meaning, as having some other intent behind it. But none of us is saying that she should be put into jail because of that. That's the point. You can disagree with Ali Khan, you can debate his position, but the question is, did he do anything which constitutes an offense under Indian Constitution and Indian law? If he did not, and that is evident from any reasonable reading of his posts, that he did not say anything which constitutes an offense under Indian law. If the Indian Constitution is being sought to be rewritten in the process, it's a different matter. But as the Constitution as it stands today, nothing that is said constitutes an offense. I can disagree, anyone can disagree with him and debate with him. Why not debate? Why should you
That's
take
the
it
point.
to-
That's the point, Rashmi. Why not debate? You and Ali Khan come to the studio, debate. That's the way democracies function. It's in an autocracy where the
Rashmi, he
police
was
suddenly
asked
goes and
to-
arrests.
he
Do you
was
agree
asked
that
to
his arrest is
explain
prima
himself.
facie
He
an
just
abuse of
refused
power,
to turn
as the
up.
National Human Rights Commission has said today? It's an abuse of power. Yes or no? That if I say something against the government, I can be arrested.
Respectfully, Rajdeep, he was asked, he was summoned to explain himself. The very debate that you're talking
Rajdeep,
about.
you are hearing the
asked
same
to-
song again and again.
Because you
let her
refuse
finish.
to understand what I'm trying to say here. There will
Many
be
times you have said
escalation
that
in any
summoning by
process.
Women's Commission has no sanctity. What
They
is this
do have
women's-
sanctity.
Anybody
They're
can be
equivalent to a
summoned.
civil court.
No. Nobody,
They are
everybody has a
equivalent to a
right
civil
not to
court.
go when summoned. This is not a
They
criminal.
do have the right to summon. They do
No,
have
Okay,
the right to
okay,
summon
okay.
people.
Rashmi, just a minute. I just want to therefore ask you, Dushyant, in conclusion, is this therefore a case, as the NHRC is saying, of prima facie abuse of power? How can it be checked? Today it's happened to Ali Khan, and therefore it's become a national issue. But as I said, across the country, there are individuals whoever is in power, if they speak against them, they are summoned, they can be arrested. We are seeing it time and again. Is there a solution, Dushyant?
See, before I answer to that, I must say one thing, Rajdeep. The press briefings by Colonel Qureshi and Wing Commander Singh was a moment of great pride and joy for this country. And I'm so happy government did it because it sent very powerful messages to the world. Now, if the minister of Madhya Pradesh government makes such seditious, disparaging, defamatory statements against not just a woman officer, but against the army and against calling her a terrorist, the Prime Minister owed a duty to the country to step in and should have ordered his sacking, should have ordered that FIR be lodged against him. It's not enough. What is this on SIT? Frankly, I'm shocked that Supreme Court has constituted an SIT to look into the charge which has apparently, not forget prima facie, categorically and clearly seditious. And that man must, face the consequences. So Supreme Court's intervention is frankly deeply disappointing.
No, but if one case is seditious and the other is not, how are we going to ensure that there isn't an abuse of power? That's my point.
The abuse of power will not stop unless the judiciary steps in at all levels and stops this nonsense what is going on. My dear friend is rightly talking about rule of law. But the rule of law must equally apply to everybody in the country. Today there is no rule of law. And we have seen in Shah Rukh Khan's son's case, for example, the FIR said that he had no narcotics on him. He was arrested, he was remanded, he was denied bail for 30 days. Now, this kind of nonsense in the country has to stop. People who have made statements saying that Gaddaro ko maro goli, no action is taken against them. So I think, and this is something very disturbing. While sending a powerful message through these two very fantastic professional officers to the world, we have allowed the world to laugh at us by condoning the statements of this Minister of Madhya Pradesh. The world will wonder what kind of governance.
The fact is there is an SIT in his case. The judges have called it a national shame. My bigger worry is the abuse of power and thereby the restrictions on free speech. Today it is Ali Khan, tomorrow it could be anyone else in this country. That is my worry. And the judges, by the time they decide whether it's sedition, the police has already arrested the individual.
Rajdeep, if anybody thinks that there is a strong and sustainable rule of law in this country, he is sadly mistaken. It is singularly absent today in our society. and selectively justice is being meted out. And I've been saying that for a long time. We have to therefore educate the judiciary. We have to ensure that judiciary really acts as checks on the executive and the legislative powers, which is not happening. We have seen.
Let me leave it there. Let me leave it there. I think we've heard strong words from all. And clearly this is an issue which we hope that the judiciary will pass a reasoned order so that that order becomes exemplary in all such cases. That's the least we can hope. But I appreciate my guest joining me here on my talking point. Thank you so much.